Thanks for joining us tonight for yet another fun and exciting, profoundly informative Allentown Community Association meeting. I am your host and president, Nick Curley, and we will be getting started shortly. Hi, Molly. How are you? Hi, Amanda.
Hey, Nick. Doing well.
Nick, it's been quite a week. You're going to be blown away by my my flyer. I made a flyer.
Outstanding. I love to be blown away, especially by flyers. Wait, you're saying I won't actually be blown away by the flyer?
You might be a little underwhelmed. You'll be like, this is Amanda's A game today? What's going on? What's happening?
Wow. I feel like this year has really lowered my expectations for so many things that
save the drama for your mama.
Maybe it'll just be
out already.
Yeah, maybe it'll just be okay.
It'll just be okay, probably.
All right, so I'm going to tell you guys up front that I've got these new headphones, and I'm not sure I know how to make the audio play on the screen sharing that we're doing. So Molly, when the time comes to play your presentation, I need someone to help me know right up front if the audio, I might even just take the earbuds out and just go dog barks and all. So we'll see, but that's the one thing I'm not quite sure about. All right, it is 7:03. We're going to get going in exactly 2 minutes. Eli, glad you made it. Also, Eli, are you going to speak first tonight, or is Molly going to speak first tonight?
I think Molly's going to speak first.
Eli. Outstanding. I've got her queued up, so I'll open your presentation after we're done with her. Hey, Matt, good to see you. Thanks for being here, and always great to see the liquor board in the meetings. I see that you've posted your contact information for the community in the chat for reference purposes. So if anyone has a liquor board related concern, please avail yourself of that information. Matt has always been a good partner to us, and I'm sure he will do his best to help you.
Thanks very much. Good to see you all.
And thanks, Matt. And just like that, it is 7:05. So let's go ahead and get the show on the road. Thanks everyone for joining us tonight. I'd like to open the meeting with a just brief rundown of what the agenda looks like for tonight. So this is our November meeting for the Highlandtown Community Association. And what we're going to do tonight is talk about the upcoming elections in our January meeting and some related social media procedures there. We're going to briefly discuss our intent to just cancel the December meeting and do something social instead. Next, we're going to do Molly and Eli from Southeast CDC and the Neighborhood Design Center. We've got a couple of presentations, about 10 minutes there. After that, we'll open up the floor. And that's about it. So, yeah. Let's start there. Just so you guys know, brief housekeeping issues. This meeting is being recorded and will ultimately find its way to our YouTube channel for posterity and folks who couldn't make the meeting. So just be advised that everything we talk about will be recorded and kind of is public as a community meeting would otherwise be. If you have questions, comments, concerns, please put them in the chat, which I'll be monitoring as we work through the meeting. I believe we could probably be through this meeting in less than an hour tonight, but it can go on as long as the community wants it to. And that being said, let's dive in. All right. I guess first things first, our December meeting is typically our holiday party. This is obviously not a great year for a community gathering indoors. So we're going to cancel our formal December meeting and instead host a social media / Zoom video community function for an hour. We'll call it a happy hour. BJ on our board has volunteered tonight to look into that. So stay tuned for details as they emerge in the coming weeks via our website and social media. BJ, anything you'd like to add for that? Says in comments, we will be having a Christmas trivia drinking happy hour. Outstanding. So details to follow. The Highlandtown Community Association elections always happen in January per our bylaws. So between now and the end of December, we will be posting to the HCA website and our social media channels some information about the positions that are open. I know specifically that the vice president position has been filled by Vanessa Freund in an interim capacity over the last year, so she will be up for re-election. So if anyone is interested in joining the board and they qualify, meaning that they have attended the requisite number of meetings over the last year and live in the neighborhood, they are welcome to email highlandtown21224@gmail between now and the end of the calendar year, stating their intent to run as a board member, or if they reference our social media posts, forthcoming social media posts, and determine that they want to compete with Vanessa for the vice president position. I believe the treasurer position may be open also. Again, we'll sort those details out and get it all posted. So if you're interested in being part of the board, being more involved in the association, please send us an email so we can sort out the balloting and stuff, and then that'll all be resolved in our January election. And then one other brief housekeeping item. So Vanessa and I had a recent meeting with Lucia Islas with Comité Latino. And we are attempting to move forward with a long-intended effort. We want the HCA to better serve and better engage with the Latino community in Highlandtown. I feel like we operate and live in kind of ultimately very separate worlds sometimes, and that's probably not great for the community. And so we want to acknowledge that rift and then work to knit it together kind of with partnership. So we've started moving in that direction. Moving forward, we will be attending Comité Zoom meetings, and they're going to attend ours, and we're going to start trying to figure out how we can work together to make the neighborhood a better place. So stay tuned for more details there. And those are the updates that I've got right now. So I'd like to do round robin. Vanessa, can we start with you? Anything you'd like to share with the folks in the meeting tonight?
I don't have anything actually, so I'll pass it on to the next person.
Outstanding. I think that's going to be Michael Dorsey.
Yep, brief treasurer's report. Our total holdings are just below $13,000. We have been approved for a grant in the amount of $5,000 from Baltimore Community Foundation. The official award letter hasn't come through yet, but that'll all be done to continue to improve the front and newly open portion of the Conklin Street Garden. And just to give an example of what a great example of what could happen there, it was a stop for the Lantern Parade, and we had a live band in there and a bunch of kids and families that were dancing around and enjoying the open space, even in a socially safe, distanced environment. And so even in the current climate, it's still a place that can house that safely. And it was also a great vantage point to watch the parade. So just an example of what we could do when it's a little warmer again.
Outstanding. Thanks, Mike. Following up on Mike's brief comments about the financial status of the HCA, our financial statements are listed on the HCA website. As we approach the end of the calendar year, we'll begin working on our requisite financial statements for the year to be posted for public review. But in general terms, we really haven't made or spent any real money this year as an organization. We've kind of been on lockdown along with everything else. Would you consider that to be a fair characterization, Mike?
Absolutely. The last real expense that we put out was $500 to support the mural at the Corona Grocery in partnership with Southeast CDC. But in general, our expenses have been very, very low. From a treasurer's coding standpoint, there's one item a month to code. So it's fairly light, and our turnaround time for our annual statements is going to be pretty easy because, again, there's been so little activity.
Outstanding. Mike, I'd also like to congratulate you on the grant you just landed. Great job and nice work.
Couldn't have done it without your wife.
Okay, well, good for her too. And I think Andy at Southeast CDC helped, didn't he?
Andy and Molly both were good supporting persons around it, and Andy did help me think through the draft. So, yeah.
Well, thanks to them too. Great job, everyone. It's always great to work together to reel in resources. All right. Anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Dorsey?
That's it.
All right. Thanks for that. I appreciate it. Moving on, Brian Sweeney.
Hi there. Two quick updates. One, I met with the Danielle McCrae, City Council representative for the 2nd District, which is Highlandtown east of Conkling Street, and a representative of the Department of Transportation to discuss the possibility of some traffic calming and maybe the addition of some parking spaces on Grundy Street, starting at Lombard Street. This is in the upper east corner.
Hey guys, I just lost audio for Brian. Did anyone else?
Is it not coming through?
No, I
You don't hear me?
can hear you.
We can
You
hear
can hear.
Brian.
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep.
Okay, carrying on. I've met with the DOT people to discuss the possibility of putting in some flex posts and some other things at Grundy, where it starts out at Lombard Street, and also the possibility of making reverse angle parking along a few of those blocks through there. The intention is to do a few things. One, to slow traffic through that area, and the other is to add some parking spaces. This is kind of a part of the neighborhood where we do not have a lot of participation. And, as a result, we don't do a lot for them, but they have a significant number of problems on that side of the neighborhood, some related to some bars along Lombard Street that create traffic problems and parking problems and some other things. So if we can slow traffic on those blocks and give them some additional parking spaces, it would be a big help to them, I believe. Again, we don't have much participation from people over in that area, so it's not like I've got lots of requests and dialogue going with people who live over there, but we're just kind of floating this out to the group as kind of an effort to keep it, on the table, that this is something that we're exploring. We don't have a yes or no regarding the reverse angle parking at this point. It'd probably be a couple of months until we do, but I'm fairly optimistic that something can happen there that can help them over there. So that's it for the parking and traffic changes over there. But when I left that meeting, I happened to run into Richard Manikin, who is one of the development partners for the apartment project on Bank Street. And he indicated to me that they are behind schedule, which is pretty clear. We thought that their next phase, or possibly even breaking ground, would take place in September. So they are significantly behind schedule, but he said they are still moving forward with the project. There have been some COVID-related financial problems that have hit them, but what he said to me was that they're just kind of rearranging the finances to cover it and not to be worried about it. So everything from their view is still on track to take place. They're just off schedule and ground hasn't been broken, and that would be why. So stay tuned for more news. That's what I've got.
Outstanding. Thank you, Brian. Any questions? It is the old DJ Liquidators. Yes, looking at the chat. Any other questions or comments for Brian? Looking for updates about that or anything before we move on? No. All right. Is there anyone else on the board who'd like to add anything? Nope. Okay. All right. So moving on, I would like to go ahead and I'm going to queue up Molly's presentation. And Molly, if you would please introduce yourself, I'm going to bring up the screen sharing.
Hi, everybody. I'm Molly McCullough with the Southeast Community Development Corporation. I work with Amanda. And I thought it'd be, I tend to just like charge ahead in our work, and we're trying to be more intentional about looking back at things that we planned and things that we accomplished. And so I wanted to come tonight with some updates on a planning process that started in 2016 to let you guys know where we're at. And it's going to relate to something that we'll be continuing to present on when Eli shares more about a planning process that we're launching. So wanted to talk, just about like the continued collaboration between Southeast CDC and HCA to make great changes in the community. Nick, are we ready?
Almost. Sorry, I'm not seeing your. It's kind of weird. It's not giving me the option to play your file.
Should I play it from here?
I think you're not the host anymore, Nick.
Yeah, you made Vanessa the host.
Oh.
I'm also still a host.
Oh.
Here we go. Can you guys see that?
Hi, everybody. This is Molly McCullough with the
Can you see that?
Yes.
Southeast CDC. We're going to check in on updates and progress to the transit placemaking plan. The transit placemaking looked at the Highland Avenue and Lombard Street corridors, and community members identified areas that they wanted to see streetscaping improvements and traffic calming and creative placemaking projects. The process kicked off in 2016 with a series of public workshops that were facilitated by the Neighborhood Design Center in collaboration with Southeast CDC and HCA, and resulted in a plan that summarized the community input and gave Southeast CDC and HCA clear priorities to continue working on. These were summarized in a series of maps that showed where community members wanted to see public art installations and traffic calming. And so the results of these prioritization processes is that a lot of the public art projects have been accomplished thanks to state and foundation funding, while many of the traffic calming projects do require city support and are a few years out. So we're going to look more closely at the traffic calming recommendations first. Traffic calming included things like permanent bump outs that would shrink the space that pedestrians have to walk across the street, crosswalk striping, and turn lane changes. So in terms of turn lane changes, Baltimore Street and Lombard Street, there were recommendations for adding a turn lane that would facilitate the flow of traffic of commuters in and out of the city. Neither of these have been implemented yet. They require repaving before the city will restripe the street. However, at Pratt Street and Highland Avenue, HCA was successful in advocating for flex posts and stop signs. We're going to turn now to the public art recommendations, and I'm pleased to report that many of these have been implemented. We're going to take a look at some of them. Starting at Baltimore and Highland Avenue. This was a priority intersection. It's a busy one and has a lot of transit users and pedestrians. These were the recommendations from the Neighborhood Design Center, and here's what we did. We added murals and signage on 2 of the major intersections, as well as new storefront signs, and lighting on the buildings that illuminate the bus shelters and pedestrian pathways. Moving down the corridor at Lombard Street and Highland Avenue, we added a mural at this commercial building. And then most recently added mural and lighting at Corona Grocery, and we'll be updating their storefront signage in December. And then the Conklin Street Garden, the pavilion was installed a few years ago. We expanded the green space this year, and an artistic sign has been fabricated and will be installed soon. And then looking down the Lombard Street corridor, we added a mural at the Felco Packaging Company and neighborhood branded trash cans at 2 of the corners. So the takeaway is that planning works. So when community members come together and create a shared vision, it really gives us something to work from to help make the vision a reality and bring the resources and project management support along with community planning from HCA to make it all happen. And our next steps is that Southeast CDC is going to continue to work with HCA to advocate that the city install those proposed traffic calming recommendations, and you'll see commercial facade improvements continue along the Lombard Street corridor.
Outstanding. So 2 questions, Molly. Question number 1, do you want to go straight into Eli's presentation, or do you want to address the room before Eli speaks? And question number 2, whenever you do speak, can you tell everyone what Southeast CDC is before we get any further into things?
Sure, yeah, I'll take any questions about the transit placemaking process. I did write a little note in the chat about Southeast CDC, but we do 3 things. So we're a housing counseling agency. We're typically located on Eastern Avenue at Highland Avenue. We also manage 5 community schools in the area, including Highlandtown 237 and 215. We're the community school lead agency there. And then Amanda and Andy and I do a lot of community projects in all of Southeast Baltimore. Do we have any more questions about transit placemaking as a process and implementation plan? You can either chat them to me, or I'll put my email there if you want to follow up. I think we're okay to move on then.
I just want to say thank you, and then echo some of what you said, because as that project, so many of those things that were mentioned as transit placemaking that HCA had a hand in participant to our continued mutual success and being involved in each other's projects. So I just want to say thank you and really hold that up as an example for the rest of the city, because it doesn't always happen like that, trust me.
Yeah, well, as Mike knows, the pieces of the plan that rest with the city are taking longer, of course. The pieces of the plan that Southeast CDC and HCA can do together are the ones that we've been able to implement. And so, you know, there's a lot of credit due to you all with doing a lot of fundraising and community engagement to make sure that these projects continue.
Outstanding. So would you like to go into Eli's presentation now?
Yeah, great. Eli, are you ready to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I also introduced myself in my video, so you'll hear this twice, I suppose. But my name's Eli Poussin. I'm a still relatively new planner and program coordinator at the Neighborhood Design Center and formerly at Baltimore Heritage. And so I'll be talking about the Baltimore Highlands Community Plan that we're working on with the Southeast CDC, and hopefully any of you who want to be involved in that process, especially folks who live in the Baltimore Highlands neighborhood within the broader Highlandtown area.
Just, you know, I'm trying really hard to get this to play and doing a bad job of it, so just bear with me. Please.
Good evening. My name's Eli. I'm here to sort of ask the next question after Molly's presentation of what can we plan together, Baltimore Highlands?
Sorry guys, I'm still trying to get the presentation queued up and it's just not populating in my screen sharing window and I don't know why, so just bear with me, please.
So maybe I can take Natalie's question while we wait. So Natalie asked about HCA's role in the project. So the surveying part and visioning part of transit placemaking happened back in 2016. Moving forward, we want to strategize about how to approach the city about the remainder of the traffic calming request. And so it sounds like Brian already has connections with elected officials and with DOT, and we can continue to put those requests in.
All right, Eli, I just made you a co-host. Can you confirm that you have the option to share your screen?
Yep, I will go ahead and pull that up now. Let's see, advanced and share computer sound. Okay, let's see. Sort of ask the next question after Molly's presentation of what can we plan together, Baltimore Highlands? So I am a new planner at the Neighborhood Design Center. Some folks might know me from my prior work at Baltimore Heritage, but now working at NDC, I'm excited to be teaming up with community organizations and nonprofits on design and planning projects that are really intended to sort of make healthier, safer, more equitable neighborhoods all across the city, including here in Baltimore Highlands. So why am I here? The Neighborhood Design Center and the Southeast CDC want to work with you and your neighbors to make a plan for Baltimore Highlands. So why are we doing that? Who is paying for it? The Enterprise Community Foundation is a nationwide nonprofit that works to promote affordable housing and community development, but they have a special focus in the Mid-Atlantic on strengthening the educational environment in order to enhance children's opportunities for success. What does the educational environment look like for Highlandtown Elementary Middle number 237? It looks like the whole neighborhood of Baltimore Highlands, even though the school is of course located just outside the neighborhood in Highlandtown. So you do find students in Baltimore Highlands who walk or are driven to attend, at least under more normal circumstances, an overcrowded 94-year-old elementary school that is currently, despite all these challenges, being rebuilt and designed to be rebuilt at twice the size under the 21st Century Schools program. They may be walking past the Conkling Street Community Garden and benefiting from all the hard work that neighbors put into that, but of course they also might be walking past the block of Leverton Avenue, where neighbors have submitted 20 311 requests for trash and illegal dumping on that block in just the last year alone. You and your neighbors are, of course, can enjoy numerous shopping opportunities, but there's also a number of empty storefronts and maybe opportunities for improvement. There are hundreds of row houses, of course, in the Baltimore Highlands neighborhood filled with both homeowners and renters, but the experience of renting or paying a mortgage in the neighborhood may vary quite a bit depending on your household income. For example, folks who make less than $35,000 a year, over 3 in 4 of those residents are paying more than 30% of their income in housing costs, meeting the federal definition of cost burdened. What are our goals for this plan? They include guiding our work together on affordable housing and home ownership, neighborhood improvement projects to address quality of life around recreation, trash, and public safety, and commercial retail. And who is the our in this our work? It's neighbors, the Southeast CDC, and the city, all working independently and working together to make Baltimore Highlands a better place to live now and in the future. And so where did these goals come from? Well, we've been listening to what you've told us already through the Greater Highlandtown Deep Blue plan that we worked on with the Blue Water Baltimore and Department of Public Works back in 2017, as well as the Highland Avenue Transit Placemaking Plan that we teamed up with the Southeast CDC to work on previously. So we want you to get involved and stay informed in this process. So how can you do that? This fall and through the winter, we're going to be talking and coming up with ideas for the plan in partnership with neighbors in Baltimore Highlands. And then in the late winter and early spring, we're going to be writing up all the ideas that have been shared and sharing that back with you for feedback on the proposal that we're putting together. You can mark your calendars already for Thursday, December 3rd. We're going to be planning a evening workshop taking place online to keep everybody safe. And we're hoping to come back on Monday, February 16th for the next meeting of the Highlandtown Community Association to share an update on what we've been doing over the last couple months. You can also sign up online. I'll be sure to share this link in the chat so you can get updates by email or by phone on everything that we've been working on. So thanks so much for the time, and I really look forward to our conversation. Have a great evening. I feel like I've reflexively said, have a great evening, even though I very much knew that it wasn't like I was headed out the door at that point. I'm also, I guess I will say, I did put the link to sign up for more information in the chat. And I know that not everyone participating in this evening's meeting or the Highlandtown Community Association necessarily lives in Baltimore Highlands. But certainly there are I think there's opportunity and interest on my part and Molly's part to have a process that includes both folks who live in the neighborhood, people who shop in the neighborhood, people who might travel through the neighborhood, and that is sort of like key to what we're doing. So so I guess that, Molly, should we dive into? I see we've already got one question in the chat. Nick, do we have a few minutes for questions, or do you want to sort of moderate kind of like how we go?
No, I'd be delighted if you'd proceed.
Cool, thank you. So, so Natalie raised the question of what we and who exactly are doing to engage Baltimore Highlands residents and to inform them on all this great planning. So that is a very good question. And so this is something that we've been trying to sort of figure out the best way to proceed over the last couple months, in particular due to the pandemic, because typically, as with the Highland Avenue Transit Placemaking process, oftentimes the Neighborhood Design Center will work with some existing community meetings and sort of bring people together in that kind of format. So for this process, we're hoping to reach some residents through the Highlandtown Community Association. We're also working with Andy Dahl at the Southeast CDC to reach out to Spanish-speaking residents in Baltimore Highlands who have been already engaged in some of the cleanup initiatives, as well as the Conkling Street Garden that the Southeast CDC has been helping to support in various ways. And then also, as Molly mentioned in the chat, working with Denora, the community school coordinator at Highlandtown 237, to reach out to families within the broader parent community of the school. So that's the sort of like the organizations that we're starting with. We do want to get the word out broader than that for folks who maybe are like, you know, life is kind of crazy right now. They might be disconnected from community meetings or civic organizations. And so trying to use surveys, trying to put flyers at local businesses. I think the laundromats in that area have been sort of recommended as one way to reach people. So please do share your ideas of both specific people to, oh, you should talk to so-and-so, even if you don't necessarily know their phone number or email. You can just tell us like, oh, they're like, yay high, you know, they live in a blue house on this block. We'll try our best to chase them down. But then if there are specific, if you do have their email and phone number, all the better, because that's really our goal, is to spend the next, let's see, what's that, for 4 months or so, trying to talk to people in a structured way about the topics that we've identified for this planning process, to gather that input and organize it in a way where we can sort of share it back, and it sort of helps to inform some priorities of here are the kinds of projects or the kinds of initiatives that we would want to see around things like housing, sanitation, recreation, that would sort of advance the goals of residents in Baltimore Highlands and the sort of community that surrounds the neighborhood. So, Natalie, did the combo of my response, and Molly, I guess you can jump in and add more to what you wrote out if
Natalie
yes,
wrote-
with 5 exclamation points and a thumbs up in the thing. So I think we did all right for that one. I need the other questions?
Hey, Eli, this is John Eddy.
Hi.
You mentioned a nationwide nonprofit and it went by too fast for me to write that down. It was Enterprise something.
The Enterprise Community Foundation is the name of the organization. Molly, do you want to share anything more about sort of the sort of like background on sort of like this grant program or sort of how Southeast CDC came to apply for this opportunity?
Sure. So can you guys hear me all right? I know my audio is a little bit, okay, great. Enterprise endeavors to support school-based outcomes in Baltimore and other cities. And so they were looking for planning processes that would focus on school zones and improving or sustaining school-based outcomes there. So we knew that Highlandtown 237 had done a school needs assessment and had identified, community members had identified areas of concern and areas of strength. And so we were launching from that needs assessment.
And that's a big part of where I think the focus on housing came from, is both knowing that that's sort of one of the main areas in which the Southeast CDC is already working and is a way that they can continue to work in Baltimore Highlands in the future. But that also that, like, based on our survey, I should say the Southeast CDC's prior work surveying residents in that neighborhood, things like sort of trouble with landlords not maintaining properties, trouble with sort of like, you know, too many people in too small a space, just trouble with rents being too high. Those are some of the things that people we know were experiencing in 2018. So if people were experiencing the rent being too high for their incomes in 2018, there's certainly those challenges can only be more severe in this kind of present moment where so many people are experiencing a great deal of like sort of financial insecurity. So the hope is that we can identify ways that would support renters who are in a difficult position, support renters who might be in a stronger sort of financial position and may be interested in transitioning to become homeowners, but also be looking at how can we support homeowners in both helping them stay in the neighborhood if they want to stay, and sort of make sure that no one is losing their home due to things like property taxes or other kinds of, or, you know, maintenance issues that they don't know how to address. And are there strategies at the whole neighborhood level, rather than just sort of one homeowner here or one homeowner there, that we can sketch out that would help community organizations like the Highlandtown Community Association, as well as the Southeast CDC, work to tackle those issues for residents?
Yeah, that's perfect, Eli. And it has a direct link to school-based outcomes, because Highlandtown 237 has a very high rate of student mobility, meaning students are coming in and out of the school zone or in and out of their classroom very often throughout the school year, and it's disruptive to the learning environment. And so we want kids to be able to stay in their classes and stay with their teachers for the full year. So having stable home environments and stable housing options is really important.
Outstanding. Molly, Eli, excellent presentation. Thanks for sharing that information. I encourage everyone to follow the link in the chat and sign up to participate moving forward. Is there anything else you guys would like to add? Or are there any other questions from the room before we proceed?
I'll commend you with this is my first time with the pre-recorded presentations for our community association meeting, and I think it's a brilliant approach. It sort of was challenging to get it all down into the recommended guidelines, but so I'm glad that you don't mind like me squeezing in a little extra with my my responses. But glad I'm not getting in the way of you all having a quick and efficient meeting this evening. So thank you.
I feel like you crushed it, and you had to think really hard about what to say to be effective. So it worked.
No, that's the advantage of that time constraint. Really, thumbs up. So
well done. Thank you so much. All right, what I'd like to do next is move on to Delegate Luke Klippinger, and after that we will do we'll open up the floor. So Luke, would you like to jump in?
Sure, I will go now for an hour and a half because nobody told me about any kind of time restrictions. And Brian Sweeney now is threatening to throw his computer out the window. I will not go that long. First, I am going to, I have some inside information. Some inside information that's very important for the people of this neighborhood to know. I have it on the best authority that Santa this year is focusing on one part of the world to look and read letters to Santa. And he is going to be placing a receptacle for those letters near the southeast branch of the Enoch Pratt Library. And it is possible, although I don't have personal knowledge of this because I just don't know that, I hear things. It is possible that Santa will be reading those letters and placing that online. I'm just saying you should get ready for that. It's possible also that the CDC will be helping with this, but I don't know a lot. Santa's very busy. We're working on a lot here. So now that I've killed off 90 seconds of the 3 minutes that I have, very quickly, again, this is Luke Klippinger, one of your members of the House of Delegates and Santa's personal emissary, apparently. We're getting ready for the next legislative session where we're going to be dealing with a lot of different issues on education funding, on police accountability, on a wide range of other issues. I can talk about those issues in detail if you'd like, but I do want to be sensitive to time. I am the chair of the House Judiciary Committee, where we will be dealing with issues related, again, to police accountability in particular. I'm also going to be putting in legislation that deals with the fees that that the courts charge for evictions. We charge one of the lowest fees for evictions in the country, and it has led to abuse. In fact, Jared Kushner, you may have heard, and his company has sought to evict hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in Baltimore County, some of whom just, they weren't unable to pay a full month's rent. They paid the majority of the rent, but they then instantly, despite having no prior record of missing rents, they would simply file a summary ejectment for $15. To put it in perspective, as you suffer whiplash from Santa to protective orders, cost $46. It costs $15 to file a summary ejectment. So that's one of the other issues that we'll deal with in Annapolis this year. We're going to be dealing a lot with issues related to mental health and the mental health of police officers and the mental health of the people that police interact with, and giving police the tools through crisis intervention teams to divert them from the criminal justice process. So now that you need neck braces from the whiplash, I know that Ann Sawyer is asking about overdose prevention sites. That's one of the things that the crisis intervention centers would lead to is that stabilization. We already have some support for stabilization. There's another group that is working very hard with to create these mobile crisis teams who could also tie people into those stabilization centers. I don't think that, Ann, is not precisely what you're asking, and I'm happy to talk more about that in greater detail. But but I know that we're starting a process now in Baltimore and in surrounding counties to get more support for the crisis intervention teams and their ability to keep people from getting directly engaged in criminal justice system. So with that, some people ask me why I really like being Santa Claus. It's because I'm on the Happy Go Fun Time committee with lots of completely not depressing subjects. So that's why I am proud to be Santa's emissary. I think I slipped up there. I think I'm Santa's emissary, and I look forward to reading your letters to Santa and taking any questions you have.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. I will look to the chat. If anyone has questions for Delegate Clippinger, now would be the time. Well, I don't see anything, but thanks a bunch for joining us. Are you going to hang around or do you have to run?
I'll hang around.
Outstanding. All right. Well, in that case, thank you, Luke. I'm going to go ahead and I think Amanda was probably first in line with comments from the floor. So Amanda Smith-Peters, you want to jump in?
Sure. So hi there, everyone. I'm Amanda. I am your Highlandtown Main Street manager. We're a program of the Southeast CDC. So like Molly said, I work with Molly and Andy and many other folks at that office. And one of the great things I get to do is talk about the upcoming events that we have for the district. It's my job to work with all the business owners along the Eastern Avenue corridor and also a lot of the artists and arts venues throughout the whole Highlandtown area as well. And so we're really working hard this season to promote small businesses, to promote us getting out and supporting those businesses. It's really important. The grant money coming in is not enough to get these businesses through the winter. And so now is a time where I know hopefully those of us who have a little bit of extra money to spend can spend it in our businesses. So we have Small Business Saturday coming up. It is on November 28th. And of course, we want to shop small the whole year. But November 28th is a day that if you're able to go out or if you're able to shop online, it's greatly appreciated. Some of our venues are taking by appointment only, some of our art galleries. So there are ways where you can stop in safely to shop. That was the official piece. Here's the surprise I had for Nick. This is my homemade flyer because our printer broke. My whole computer, it's just been one of those like weeks. Handmade flyer. So you can see Small Business Saturday is happening on the 28th. We're trying to figure out some sort of pop-up events. But again, we're not 100% sure what we are going to do because of all the new COVID regulations. So it might be like one arts vendor outside of one of our businesses. It might be, there's going to be an online shopping guide. As much as you see the changes, know that we're dealing with those changes on the back end. And so we can't put out a finished flyer until we make those changes. So that's why you're seeing this. And as we scroll up, you'll see that we have the tree lighting scheduled virtually on Friday, December 4th. So we are still lighting the tree. We will have a virtual celebration. We will probably do it on Facebook Live. We're gonna pre-record it. So you will not be able to find Santa in person this year. We are sorry, but we may be, I haven't told Santa yet. I haven't told him, but my friend Anna, a fellow elf, we're on the elf committee and we are thinking about a giant cutout as well. So I will be needing to speak with Santa in the near future, possibly about that. In addition to the fact that Santa's mailbox will be stationed outside of the Southeast Anchor Library starting Small Business Saturday on November 28th. It will probably stay up through until the 25th, but we will not be reading letters at the last minute. So get your letters in early if you'd like a chance for those to be heard somewhere, probably Facebook, YouTube channel. Again, these are details we're just figuring out, but you'll be able to find it on our website, iHeartHighlandtown.com, or on the Highlandtown Main Street Facebook page. And I have a feeling once these great virtual events pop up, that all of Highlandtown will be sharing them, because who wouldn't want to see letters from Santa our great small businesses and other neighborhood surprises, let's say. And if you'd like to be a part of these neighborhood surprises or have a good idea, you can email me. And don't go too big. It's a lot to take on, but if you've got a little idea, you want to pop in, you want to do a business spotlight, let me know. We want to hear cheerleaders from our own neighborhood also reaching out. So that's what I have to share today. I hope you enjoyed this homemade flyer. And I'll be sure to fax this around after the meeting, okay? I did have a few other updates really quickly about the district. You probably have seen the design for distancing information out, the big pink and black posters to remind people to wear their face masks, to wash their hands. Please, if you see people and you know them, you're semi-friends with them in the district, remind them outside is a public space, please put your mask on, like especially in the commercial corridors. It's really important that we all follow that. And then also we have 2 new businesses that open this Saturday. One is Self Health. They are located at 3727 Eastern Avenue, and I know that they carry some CBD products and some other health-related holistic products. And then the other location that opened is also healthy related, holistic related, and that's Charmington Holistics. And they're located at 425 Conkling Street, which is right across the street from Rust and Shine. So they've got a cute location, and she's like mixing up herbal teas that you can take. And I believe she's open on weekends. And so you can stop in and get something made. She's got soaps and some other cute items. So, oh, and thanks Molly for adding those links. I appreciate it. So, yep, I think that's about it. Any questions? And yes, I see the Santa ride through the neighborhood on the fire truck would be fun. It was on my list. It's as soon as I get the other things taken care of, we will reach out to the fire department. I know people would really like to see that. Maybe we need a little extra hand on that. And if there's anything else, just let me know.
Outstanding. Thank you, Amanda, for sharing that great information. Does anyone have any questions for Amanda? Excellent. Well, we'll stay tuned for updates, and I think it would be fun to see Santa ride around on a fire truck also. Excellent. Is there anyone else who would like to share anything with the community?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Shafau O'Dunsey. I am the Community Development Director for Dynamic Healthcare. We are a mental health clinic. We've been in the community for about 10 years. But we're trying to be more intentional with our community engagement, both in Highlandtown and also in Baltimore City in general. So I'm so excited just to hear about all the different things that are happening, the different things that are planned for the future. And we are looking forward to engaging more. We also are working with a school initiative as well as working with police officers in crisis intervention. So just looking forward to being a part of this community association and collaborating with everybody. Thank you.
Outstanding. Thank you for that. Anyone else want to share anything for the greater good?
Hi, good evening, everybody. Juan Nunez, Community Liaison for Councilmember Z. Cohen. First, I just want to thank all the partners that are here in this meeting, Southeast CDC, and the folks that participated with the community cleanup on November the 7th over the Conkling corridor. We saw the newly elected Mayor Brandon Scott and his team organize a very good effort in that area. So I know I saw Brian and some of the folks here. Just want to put out some of the work that Councilmember Z. Cohen is doing with sanitation workers, pushing a living wage with benefits. They were at $11 an hour, and that's not acceptable. The other thing is, as a reminder, Thanksgiving and the holidays are coming. It's family gathering. Just be cautious. The numbers are increasing. We know that it's difficult times right now with the pandemic, and it's not going anywhere right now. It's going to stay here within the community. If anyone needs to reach out to the office, you can reach out to zeke.cohen@baltimorecity.gov or you can reach me at juan.nunez@baltimorecity.gov. And one more thing, there's a job posting for a civic engagement director. It's on the Facebook page for Zeke. Feel free to stop by and take a look at that if you know anyone that's interested in the job. We encourage those folks to apply. Thank you.
Thanks, Juan. Always appreciated. Hey, an update that I want to share with everyone that comes to mind is, like, I'm sure some of you in a volunteer capacity and others, like, for other reasons, have noticed that Baltimore City and the government in general, like a whole lot of organizations, have been going to great lengths to distribute food to food insecure individuals throughout our community in the city that is available due to CARES Act funding. So CARES Act funding, as part of the broader coronavirus response that Congress pushed through earlier this year, has an expiration date, and that expiration date is the end of this calendar year. And so, I was on a call the other day where it became apparent that a lot of the folks that are distributing food with CARES Act money are going to stop that when that money expires at the end of the calendar year. So if there's anyone in your life who's reliant on community food distributions, whether it's grocery boxes that are being picked up from the local church or whether they're being delivered, I would encourage you to proactively attempt to determine whether or not that food source is going to continue past the end of the calendar year, and if not, you may want to make alternate arrangements before it's a crisis, because thus far there's no evidence of any supplemental support or extension of ongoing funding past the end of the calendar year. And it would just be a terrible surprise to find that with the coronavirus getting worse and kind of gridlock politically on Capitol Hill, that suddenly someone who's really reliant on those food resources can't get them. So in a nutshell, just, whether it's you or a friend or a family member, a neighbor you care about, if you know that someone is reliant on CARES Act funding for food today, please help them line up food resources before that funding expires. Looking at the chat, it looks like Brian Sweeney wanted to jump in with another update. Brian, you've got the floor.
Hi, yeah, I'm glad. A couple of things came up, and it hadn't occurred to me to bring them up myself, but one, Highlandtown board member Mark Parker and Breath of God Church have been running a pantry and a food delivery service, and I'm not sure of all of the aspects of it, but they definitely can use some volunteers. I don't have his contact information at the ready, but we can certainly provide it for anybody who wants to help, doing anything from, delivering food, which I've been doing, or filling boxes and helping load cars, or just make a financial donation, because God knows they can use it. If you send an email to highlandtown21224@gmail.com, Nick can get your contact information to Mark, and maybe we can help him with that process, because they're doing really good work. The other thing, and Juan brought this up, Brandon Scott has been having a series of cleanups around the city, and not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before was the one in the Conkling Street, Highlandtown quarter, and Brandon and his people have been able to rally resources from all around the city, and I met some people from the county, and there were, dozens of people out helping, and we owe them all a debt of thanks. And we should also kind of keep our ear to the ground and see if there's an opportunity that we can help with the same cleanups in some of the other neighborhoods in the city. It was really very, very impressive to see. It was very successful. It was a beautiful day, so that brings a lot of people out. Moving into the winter, they're probably going to need some more help in some other ways. So if we can, and Juan, if you come upon anything in that area that you'd like us to post on the Highlandtown Facebook page and other places, we can get the word out to our people, and maybe we can help in other parts of the neighborhood as they came and helped us. So, you know, big thanks to Brandon, big thanks to Juan and Zeke and Zeke's office, and District 2 people were there. So big success, and we owe them a lot of thanks, and we also owe them to help them when we're able to help them. So just keep it out there. Thanks.
Outstanding. Thanks for that, Brian. And I'll note that in the chat, Luke was kind enough to share Mark Parker's email. So if you want to contact Mark directly with respect to volunteer opportunities or other types of support for Breath of God Lutheran Church, please use that. And Sawyer notes that they've got a sign-up doc on their Facebook page. And then Molly, Brian, while you were speaking, indicated that Brandon is suspending cleanups during phase 1. Which I believe is a coronavirus related thing, but I agree with what you said, Brian, and we're going to be there when we come out on the backside of this and need to clean up the neighborhood. So excellent. All right, it is 8:01 p.m. We can continue this meeting as long as we need to. Is there anyone else who would like to share anything with the community for the greater good? No. All right, in the absence of any other comments, I'd like to call this meeting to an end. I'd like to thank you all for joining us and contributing. And we will distribute notes regarding the holiday happy hour meeting for December and information regarding the upcoming January HCA elections by social media. So stay tuned for those updates. If you have any questions or concerns in the interim, please feel free to reach out to me via email at highlandtown21224@gmail.com. Good night all, and thanks for joining.